Have you ever opened up the patch notes on the release of a new Street Fighter 6 season and thought, man, this is a lot of text on the page for the general notes for each character? There's like 20 changes. I wish there was a video out there by a certain Juri main that would go through all of these changes and tell me what are the most important changes for each character and the game as a whole. Well, that's what we're going to be doing here today. I know the title of the video is a tier list, and we are going to be making a tier list, but the main point of this video is going to be to see how the characters kind of changed throughout the season, what the most important changes are for each character, and if they got buffed or nerfed overall. So on the left here, I have my thoughts of season 1, kind of ordered, but not really, since I did this in about 5 minutes. I just kind of put my thoughts together, so it might not be exactly what I think, but it's pretty close. And then for each character, we're going to think how they performed last season and look at their changes and speculate if they got buffed or nerfed overall and where they're going to be, as well as we can on day number 2 of the patch coming out. So first, for the general changes, there's basically 3 important changes that they made besides some random bug fixes and input changes. The most important changes are to parry, drive reversal, and light attacks. So first, for parries, it's basically a longer recovery and longer active animation if you just tap it. So it's 4 frames more active and then 4 frames more recovery, for a total of like 8 more frames that you're kind of stuck here if you just tap parry once. And so essentially, if you were just tapping parry here, it's a lot easier for your opponent to walk up and punish counter throw you. And then another change to the perfect parry is that the amount of drive gauge it basically takes is 50%, and you build only 80% of the super meter that you previously did. And most people just kind of think this is a good change because parry was like an extremely strong defensive option with kind of too much reward, considering you could like take so much of your opponent's drive gauge. You can actually put them in the corner after perfect parry, back throw. Also, characters that got a back throw and then Oki after, they're left a little farther away, like Ed and JP. Then drive reversal is -6 instead of -8, so it's a little bit safer. It's also not any faster coming out, so it's not going to be any easier to like react and punish a drive rush cancel. I believe on wake up it's going to be a little bit safer, or I should say blocking something. But there is also wake up drive reversal. If you hold forward and drive impact at the same time, as you can see by my inputs, you get that wake up drive reversal. It's 2 frames faster than a normal drive reversal, but it's also -6. And this is kind of a buff to characters that didn't have an EXDP, because it kind of acts like a way to get out of throw loops. It loses to like a meaty jab, for instance. So I have them doing a jab and then blocking. So you can actually meaty it, so it's not going to be as many options as an EXDP would, but it's a little bit lower risk. And the third universal change is for jabs to have more scaling off the first hit. So a combo like this is going to do a little bit less damage, and the reason I think they did this is for drive rush jab to go into less reward, basically, because drive rush jab was such a strong option in neutral. I'm not sure why they didn't just do this change to drive rush jab, but either way, drive rush jab is going to be a bit nerfed in the damage. All right, for the rest of these, I'm basically going to be going in order that they have it on the patch notes. So we're going to start with Luke, who I had at the top of my tier list in season 1. Okay, so for each character, we're going to go over their buffs first and then the nerfs. So for Luke, he basically has more meaty options to be plus with stand heavy kick and tackle. Previously, the best you could be with either of these were 0. Stand heavy kick had 6 active frames. The best you could be was 0 on block. Tackle, I think, had 7 active frames, so you could be 0 on block as well. Now you can be up to +3 with tackle if you have the right setup, and up to +1 with stand heavy kick. Stand heavy punch has more combos because it's plus a bit more on hits. On punish counter, you get medium actually, so you're going to get some combos with whiff punishes. With that, normally you had to spend a drive gauge, and then you get a bit more damage on EX fireball and DDT, which I actually like a lot because these moves were pretty much never used, so it's nice to have like a little bit of utility given to moves that weren't being used in the past. But for Luke, the nerfs definitely outweigh the buffs. The buffs were just kind of like small, nice, fun things to play with. But first, crouch medium punch range. I'm pretty sure this would have hit in the previous season. It would have hit, and now it is just not hitting anymore. The hitbox got reduced quite a bit. He got damage scaling on crouch medium punch and crouch heavy punch. So the amount of damage you can tell is just not what it used to be. Just by eyeballing it is a lot less. And then also back heavy kick on punish counter is only plus 17 instead of plus 19. And basically the big thing, you don't get this combo anymore, which was his big punish on supers. So what's the verdict for Luke in season 2? I think it's really hard to put someone that's as fundamentally as strong as Luke like really low. Like, he still has so many strong things. He has his fireballs that go full screen basically. He's still got good buttons, but crouch medium punch obviously was the strongest one before and it got nerfed. And he still has like obnoxious things like driver suppressor, but I do think this is enough to knock him down at least a tier. We'll order these at the end. For now, we'll just decide whether they stay in the same tier or move up or down. All right, Jamie, I'm hopefully not misrepresenting his buffs too much, because everyone's saying Jamie got insane buffs, but to me they aren't that crazy. There are a few really good ones, like his heavy palm is always safe now. It's -3, so that's a pretty good one. Normally people would be like doing the light one and stuff, trying to space themselves out, but now you don't even have to think about it. You can do the farthest reaching one to try and get a knockdown, and it's -3. So I feel like this one's a pretty big change. A second change is they made level 1 faster, so he actually gets crazy combos now off of it. One such one is off of light DP. He's able to actually get level 1 right here into the drink. And look at that. He has a better hurt box on his dive kick, which I know is something that Jamie players complain a lot about. And now his crouch medium punch went from 3 to 5, so I think this one's pretty nice. So this is a 6-frame button. It's, I think, -1 on blockdown instead of 0, but having more plus frames, you know, always a good thing. Some nerfs that he got: his command grab now has more scaling. So you could see before, I think it was no scaling. I think now it's 80% or 70%. So yeah, that's like a decently sized nerf, but you still get a good amount of damage on the EX command grab. I mentioned the dive kick got buffed on the hitbox, but now it does leave you closer on block, I believe. Even if it's safe, like -3, now the opponent's closer, they might be able to throw you in situations they wouldn't have before. And then the sweep is -11 instead of 10. I'm not sure exactly what this means, but I'm guessing some characters that had trouble punishing this at certain ranges can now do that, depending on the situation. All right, for Jamie, I'm honestly not totally a believer yet in these changes. Like, I know the dive kick is something Jamie players complain a lot about getting hit out of it, but it seemed pretty functional to me last season. Like, I was getting hit by the dive kicks a lot already, so I feel like that doesn't really change much against Jamie for me. I can see the heavy palm being obnoxious, and I can see, you know, him getting more combos also being really good, but is that enough to move him up a tier? Maybe, maybe not. I'm gonna keep him at the same tier for now. All right, Manon is another character that people have been saying got buffed a lot, I think, but to me the buffs aren't that significant. So a few of them, crouch jab and crouch medium kick, used to be +2, now they're +3. So on counter hit, they go to light kick, so they'll get more combos on counter hit, and on punish counter, you're gonna get stand medium punch. Back heavy punch is +1 on blockdown from -3, so you're gonna be able to do more meaties with it, is the idea. You're not just gonna be pressuring with this. It's kind of not meant for that, but it's more so after a knockdown, you can get like a meaty back fierce and be extremely plus. Her level 3 now does more damage depending on how many medals you have, but it's also not a significant amount of damage. It's just kind of a cool thing that makes it like worth getting medals and going for level 3. And then they sped up her EX spin kick. I think the main use for this, you weren't able to do this before, so you're able to get some combos now off of this. Nice little medal. And she's also, I think this one's impossible, I might be wrong, but she gets more juggles off of this side switch thing. So I feel like this one could be pretty cool, but first you have to obviously find this hit into the side switch. And then one more change for Manon, I think this might be the most interesting one. And one more change is this target combo now gets like a ground bounce effect that you can combo after. So basically they would have gotten air reset before, but now you might get like a nice little combo. I'm not sure the combos, but you kind of get the idea. So that's cool in situations where they were scared of the command grab, but now you get some reward. Got a correct guess, but just timed this wrong. You're gonna get some damage out of it. So those were the most significant changes with Manon. There weren't really any big nerfs to her. I don't think. Were those buffs enough to move her up a tier? I personally don't think so as of yet. Maybe we'll see something in the future, but for these, I feel like they're just kind of like nice quality of life things for her to have, some cool little tools, but they don't really make her that much better of a character. All right, for Kimberly, the biggest one, her level 1 is now 10 frames instead of 13. So before you could meaty jab it, so she didn't really have a real wake up that couldn't be jabbed until level 3. So her defense was pretty weak, but now her level 1 is a real wake up option. So I think this is a huge buff. Her anti-air tatsu supposedly is 1 frame faster. Heavy elbow goes into command grab. You're gonna get some follow-ups. I think you can actually do a run into level 1. And you can also choose whether you want to spend the can or not now. So that's a pretty nice quality of life thing. And then one more thing, EX tatsu to level 2. Good for combos and also anti-airs, because if you see here, even if you get the anti-air one, you're gonna get a nice combo off of an anti-air. And Kimberly as well, I didn't really see any nerfs, but I think the most significant change, the level 1, which gives her a real defensive option, is pretty big. Like, Kimberly was a strong character, I think, with good neutral because she has fast walk speed, but she was really just held back by the fact that she didn't have good defense, in my opinion. So I feel like this is enough to at least move her to A tier. All right, moving on to Marisa. I think the main buff that I saw was that she gets more combos with her new juggle with the heavy kick target combo. It seems to just give her a little bit more damage, but honestly the swag on it is just crazy. She also has this into level 2 now, so this is nice because you can actually hit confirm this. You can see how late I'm pressing the second heavy kick after seeing a hit. It's not actually a cancel, I don't think. You just kind of gotta do it after, so that's some nice damage. And then some nerfs for Marisa. Her crouch medium punch is a little bit easier to whiff punish. I think it got extended forward a bit, either forward or up, one of those two. She gets a little bit worse Oki on command grab. It used to be plus 20, now it's plus 18. I think you used to get drive rush heavy punch, if I'm not mistaken, but now you're not fast enough for that. They can jab you, but it's still kind of awkward to press a jab because there's other things Marisa can meaty with, like medium punch. So I don't think this is a huge change. It's just kind of a slight nerf to her. And then she also gets worse Oki on level 3 and CA. It was plus 19, now it's plus 14. The main thing with this one is that she can't get drive rush crouch and medium punch as a real thing anymore. You're going to be able to interrupt it, and that was used for like the real DI basically. So that was it for Marisa in terms of significant changes, I think, and I feel like they weren't that crazy, so I'll put her in the same spot. All right, Lily got the same treatment as Kimberly with her level 1. It used to be, I think, 12 or 13 frames, not sure, but it was slow enough that you could jab it and be safe. Now she has a real wake up right here, and the level 1 being faster not only makes it a good wake up, but it gives her more combo opportunities. I think she wasn't able to get heavy into level 1 before, and now she does in the corner, so it just opens up a lot of damage to her if she's able to get these combos that don't scale very much. And then mid screen you get this one into the level 1. Since it's faster, it gets a combo. You can see it doesn't scale very much, so you get a lot of damage off of that. And her crouch medium kick goes into EX door now. I think since EX door is faster, so you're going to be able to do this into like level 2. In the corner, I think you can even get medium DP. But then a nerf, they're trying to make like the really obnoxious buttons more whiff punishable, I think. And Lily's crouch heavy punch was definitely one of them. It was kind of like her main button in neutral. Now she's going to have to press a few other things, obviously. But this one was nerfed a bit. Just that you can whiff punish it now a bit easier. All right, so Lily, kind of the same idea with Kimberly. I feel like she was a pretty strong character, held back by the fact that she didn't really have a good wake up, and also the fact that she's going to get a lot more damage in certain scenarios. I feel like that's going to move her up at least 1 tier. I wouldn't be surprised if she went up to A+, but for now, I feel like the conservative place to put her is kind of the same idea with Kimberly. All right, next we have JP, who at one point everyone thought was the best character, and then he got nerfed in the last patch, and now he's gotten some more nerfs. For instance, stand heavy kick, a lot more pushback. It used to leave you really close, so you would just kind of keep pressing it, obliterating their drive gauge. Now it's not nearly as obnoxious. Oh, I meant to do buffs first, so we'll talk about the buffs right now. The buffs are you can do the EX spin into level 2. You can do the heavy, portal, spike, spike, spike. Level 1. Looks like something nice with this. You can do EX ghost into level 2 on block. Just go for mix-ups. It's kind of cool. So you know he got some new tools to play with, but the nerfs are serious. His crouch medium punch, which was like an unwhiff punchable button, now is whiff punchable. You can't just spam it as much as you did before. And I think maybe the biggest nerf is to the level 2 and the combo you get after it. I think it used to be like +5 more frames than it is now. You don't get this combo anymore. That used to be a thing you got. So you gotta do something like this. And I'm not sure the nerf that causes this, but you also don't get 2 DIs on the combo anymore either. The second one just drops. And it's not just off of the target combo, it's the fact that off of jabs, like you're +3. You don't get a combo off of jabs anymore. This was a really good way for JP to get out of the corner. I mean, it still kind of is, but you used to be able to get a combo into whatever. So this is a crazy nerf for JP. So S tier were kind of the characters I feel like that had really broken stuff that could be abused. And JP was up there, and now I kind of don't feel like that with the nerf of his level 2, along with the fact that he got a few other nerfs in the previous patch, the EX amnesia one, the crouch heavy punch nerf being a worse anti-air. So just like Luke, I feel like because Luke's crouch medium punch got nerfed, you know, this was kind of my really cheap tier, and they kind of got normalized, so I'm gonna put them here for now. But it's still hard for me to put JP any lower because, you know, he still got the really good zoning. Level 2 is still pretty good if you can get it started on block. It's just the hit combos is not as good, and honestly stand heavy kick still decent. It was just really broken before, so you're just gonna have to think of some new ways for offense. But the really obnoxious tools, I think, got taken out with JP. All right, then Juri, I might talk about her changes a bit more in detail because obviously I'm a Juri main. I know the ins and outs of the character, but she didn't really get anything too crazy. The first main one she got was her EX store, and now a lot faster. You can combo it off of jabs, which is cool, but it's not, you know, crazy. Right, the damage is not anything, but if you have 6 drive gauge bars, you might as well. And then the second buff she has, target combos go into every super, level 1, 2, and 3. I don't personally see the use for comboing into level 2 or 3 right now, but I think it is a slightly more optimal route in most cases to go into level 1 unless you have 3 stocks. Then you just go the normal route. But I think if you just want to like go into level 1 off of any normal combo with a dry rush, so you saw that one, go into a target combo, it's going to do a little bit more damage, so she gets like a little bit more damage, but it's not anything crazy, right? And then as a nerf, jump medium punch is 500 damage instead of 700, which I think is a fair nerf, because this was her anti-throw option. You can kind of go into a lot of combos, so they didn't like nuke the option, they just took off 200 damage, so it's not a crazy nerf either. So in my opinion, Juri basically didn't change, so I feel like every other character we've shown here got more significant changes than Juri, and so she's just gonna stay where she is. All right, DJ is another character I had in the obnoxious tier, the S tier, in season 1. One buff he has, I think he gets more combos off of counter hit level 1. I'm not exactly sure what he got before, but now I think he gets like more juggles or something. So if you're able to punish something with the 7-frame super or check a drive rush, people were saying, like, I'm not really sure in what scenarios you're gonna be doing this, but Hold on, I'm cooking. What the? That was crazy. But yeah, that's a cute buff, and unfortunately it's the only significant buff I saw with DJ. One main nerf that DJ got, flash kicks. His anti-air, whatever you call it. It has less range now, like it goes less far. If it whiffs at least, I think on hit it does the same thing. Yeah, so it has a little bit less range, maybe a lot less range from what I can tell. So it's gonna be a bit worse anti-air. It's actually the first hit is also less range, so it's gonna be worse at punishing certain things like Juri's medium store. Something they did almost universally, except for Ed, is on level 2 you build 70% meter of what you used to build on it, which I think makes sense because I feel like spending a super normally shouldn't be building you more super. But the big changes with DJ, and I think is why he got nerfed in my opinion a lot, is that on his big starters they got like 20% scaling. So on stand heavy punch, 20% scaling. So this combo is going to do a lot less than it did previously. Like if you remember what it did before, it's kind of the same as Luke, right? Where it just does way less damage. Same thing for his EX Fireball. This has 20% scaling as well, and also Sway is a big one too. 20% scaling on that too. So he basically does on his main combos 20% less damage, and on driver's jab I think 10% less damage was a universal change, which was especially good with DJ, right? His driver's jab. So you might be thinking like DJ's tools didn't really get nerfed, so maybe he could stay the same. It's just his damage. But in the past, like damage nerfs have been able to take a character down and kind of normalize them. He's still going to be annoying to fight, but in my opinion, he's probably moved down a tier because I feel like the damage changes are just really significant in my opinion. All right, moving on to Cammy, who I think got one main nerf, but everything else was kind of insignificant. So first, stand heavy kick is -3 instead of 4. Previously it was punishable, now it's not. I think a little bit less pushback on block though, so they'll be able to take their turn back at least. I think they want you to use forward heavy kick a bit more. This is kind of like a suppressor type button, and so now this is a block string. I think previously you could mash a DP in between. And another small buff, her target combo you can actually cancel. So in the corner you get a DP after. On block though, oh, you actually can cancel this, but obviously this target combo you can interrupt. Yeah, between the second and third hit, you realistically should always be jabbing, so they should never be getting to the point where they're getting to the drive rush. Okay, and then one small nerf before we get into the main nerf. After forward throw, she's a little bit farther. It's a very small distance, so it's very hard for me to tell, and I wouldn't have noticed otherwise, but I think it's just so it's hard to get the meaty heavy kick, right? You used to do forward throw into heavy kick pretty much every time, and now you just don't do that. And then the main one against fireballs, Cammy's EX spin knuckle used to be a thing of beauty. Projectile invincible on frame 3. Now you have to do it extremely early because they changed it to frame 9 projectile invincible, but she still has medium spin knuckle, which is projectile invincible frame 6. What is it, +7 on hit, so you get crouch medium punch, so it's not as big. I think you're probably going to turn to this, and then you just do EX spin knuckle if you really want a lot of damage. But yeah, this one I think is a decently significant change against fireball characters, but still Cammy's neutral and stuff pretty much the same, if not untouched. It's just the spin knuckle against certain fireball characters is the main thing. So in certain matchups I think she'll be weaker in because of the spin knuckle change, but overall I think she's about the same. I would just put her a little bit lower, but I'll keep her in the same tier at least for now. We can order it later on. All right, reuse a character that people have been saying got buffed a lot, and I think I might have to agree on this one because the amount of buffs he got was just kind of crazy. First, solar plexus +3 instead of +1. You're gonna be able to do things like this now instead of just going for jab. Another one, they're trying to make the power-ups a little bit more useful, so there's a few more ways to get Denjin charge you're able to get with the target combo. So you're gonna combo into that, into Denjin Charge. And normally you might be like, well, Denjin Charge isn't that good, but there's more ways to go into the Denjin Hashogeki, and you don't have to spend it like you previously did on Fireball. Like before, you try and throw a Fireball, your Denjin Charge is just gone. Now you're able to throw medium and light Fireballs while keeping the Denjin Charge, and then when you want to, you can actually spend it. His Drive Rush overhead went from -3 to -1. So on Drive Rush, it's +3. I'm not exactly sure what the pushback on it was before, so this is honestly not too crazy because he's not in throw range after, but at least on block he has more advantage. He's got damage increases across the board. Tatsu does more damage, Donkey Kick does more damage, level 2 does more damage. Forward heavy kick gives you more pushback, so this is like a really good poke because it leaves you far enough that your opponent's not going to be able to like crouching medium kick you if you're spacing it like even decently well. And you can always confirm into this, into the EX Tatsu if you're in the corner. You do this into DP, it's just a lot of damage. On light and medium Hashogeki, there's less pushback, so I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, you're not in throw range, I don't believe, but you're at least closer enough for some pressure. Stand heavy punch is +4 instead of +3, which, I mean, this isn't something you would really be doing, but I think the main reason for this change is so that you can get this, which I think you didn't get before. Punish counter stand heavy punch into heavy Hashogeki into a good combo. So if you whiff punish someone, you can just go for that. Previously, it's like a rule that you can't have more than one projectile on screen. Certain characters can break this rule, but Ryu in the past could not. But now, while EX Fireball is still on the screen, he's able to do his level 1. So if you see someone like jumping into your EX Fireball or throwing a Fireball out, you're able to pretty much guaranteed get your level 1 combo. So if I just have him, and I see that the Fireball's about to hit him, I pretty much can always get the level 1 to hit. So that's just a kind of nice quality of life thing. And then one small nerf to Ryu is EX Denjin does 800 damage, down from 1,000 after getting buffed, I think from 600. So it went from 600 to 1,000 to 800. They were kind of like, yeah, people are kind of abusing this now. He does way too much damage off this route. So they just kind of went in the middle. Small little nerf for the laundry list of buffs he got. All right, so Ryu, in my opinion, before he was a solid character with crazy damage. Now with the Denjin Charge stuff, a little bit better neutral, more damage. I feel like that's at least enough to bump him up to here. Obviously S tier is not even filled with anyone yet, so I can't reasonably put him up there, but for now we're gonna put him here. All right, E Honda, his neutral got buffed a bit. Stand medium punch moves forward more, is +6 on hit, so you're able to get target combo. You can cancel this target combo to charge up, do something like this. You're in their face with a charge. And again, previously you might have thought this charge was not that useful, but they added a few new ways to go into it. And medium kick goes into it. I'm not sure if that's a confirm or not. Crouch light kick also go into it, so you can do like this with the Denjin Charge. This is a hard knockdown now, so guess what, I'm in your face. But you know, all the obnoxious things got nerfed a little bit, which is completely fair. The pushback on this a lot less. It was kind of really annoying before, trying to take your turn back. And now it's not quite as hard. Butt slam, he was plus before, he still is, but now he's not enough to, you know, continuously keep doing it. He's gonna have to try and earn his way back in, kind of. And he's also able to delay his EX butt slam. I guess previously you weren't able to change the timing, so it was really easy to perfect parry. So yeah, Honda got some actual neutral buffs, I think, with the charge, and I'm kind of optimistic about that because I feel like combined with the fact that he gets better Oki on his butt slam, you know, the fact that the gimmicky stuff kind of got nerfed is not too bad. I feel like the fact that he got strong neutral options might be enough to put him a tier higher. Although it's not as much as the other people's buffs, I think. I would put him in like the lower side of this. All right, Blanka, I'm not sure I understand his buffs too much, but stand light punch, I believe, or crouch light punch is +5 now. so it now links into this. They said you can juggle medium ball more. I'm not sure exactly what that means, so he gets a few more combos probably. Nothing crazy. Crouch medium punch I think is a big one. It's easier to whiff punish now. Previously it was kind of like a god button. You couldn't really do anything about it unless you were extremely looking really hard for it and just doing sweep. He got 20% scaling on Dhaal, I think, maybe 10% actually more scaling on Dhaal. So his Dhaal combos are going to do a little bit less damage, but obviously the mix-ups are still going to be there. And maybe the most noticeable one, EX Airball used to be +6. It's 5 frames less now, so you can make it +1 if you do it instant. If you delay it a bit, it might be minus. And since coward crouch into it is a bit higher, I think it's going to be minus if you do it close. If you do it from farther away, it's kind of just like a real dive kick now instead of just being always guaranteed plus. But honestly, I don't think this is a crazy nerf. It's just a nerf to the Blankas that would spam this. But the really good Blanka players would be using the light ones. They would be waiting to see if you press the button and then doing that or through and then going for it. So I feel like it's not actually a huge nerf at the end of the day, but you know, it's something. It's definitely significant. All right, so where do we think Blanka is now? Is he still in S? Is he in A+? I personally am going to put him in A+. The reason I had him in S, the obnoxious category, was mainly because of his crouch medium punch, to be honest. That button was like an actual godly button, and now you're able to whiff punish. It's probably going to be towards the higher end of these characters if I had to guess, but I feel like having that crouch medium punch nerfed is actually a pretty big deal. All right, Guile got some buffs, which is crazy to think about because I don't really like fighting against Guile. His medium and heavy booms got more drive gauge damage, and if you look at it, it is a chunk on medium. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you just parry it, bro? If you parry it, you'll get all the drive gauge back. You're not going to take any drive gauge. But the problem with this is the whole reason Guiles even do different speeds of sonic booms in the first place is to throw off your timing, because the one you have to really worry about is the light sonic boom, because you have to perfect parry this one. Otherwise he's going to get free pressure, and if you're trying to perfect parry the light boom, guess what? You're going to be late trying to parry the medium one. You're going to be late trying to perfect the heavy one, especially. You're going to be taking mad drive gauge damage because you're trying to perfect parry the light boom into drive rush, but he threw out a medium one and you're losing all your drive gauge. Now there was a universal change so that if you actually parry sonic booms, you recover your drive gauge. I think you start recovering gauge after 20 frames instead of 60. I don't know why this is bugged in training mode. You don't actually get all that drive gauge back, but you used to take 60 frames to start getting your drive gauge back. Now you take 20 frames, so maybe it's to counteract that, but I still think this is a crazy change for Guile to have. Now a little nice one for Guile to play with. EX, I think it took 4 bars, now it takes 3, and on the wall bounce you're able to get more combos, so that's pretty nice. You can spend 3 bars instead of drive rushing and get that. In terms of nerfs, his crouch medium punch is easier to whiff punish, which is honestly really nice. He had a really underrated crouching medium punch. They actually added 20% scaling to his standing heavy punch, which is his big combo starter. So then before and now, if you're going to want to start a combo with that, it's going to do a bit less damage. And then they said the hurt box on his arms when you throw a boom moves higher, so it might be a little bit easier to jump in on him when he's throwing a boom. Like the range you might be able to jump in on him might be a little bit better, but I'm not exactly sure what the hitbox is exactly. So overall, did Guile get nerfed or buffed? Well, maybe he did get slightly nerfed because of the scaling on stand heavy punch and the recovery on crouching medium punch. But the real part of him that is broken is the sonic boom into drive rush, and they basically buffed that by giving him more drive gauge damage on the medium and heavy booms. So the essence of his game plan, it's the same, and he's still going to be really good at it, and that's why I had him in S tier in the first place, and that's why I'm going to keep him there for now too. Alright, Chun-Li as a character didn't change too much. One of her buffs, stand heavy punch, -3 instead of -4, which is just kind of annoying to be honest, instead of really good, I feel like, because you're just going to be spamming this. Maybe there's shenanigans with stance cancel that I'm not really sure about. Yeah, maybe she can kind of like harass you with this a bit more if you're trying to jab it. Yeah, I feel like this is just more of an annoying change than like a real serious buff. One of the nerfs I'll have to talk about right now because it affects one of the buffs basically. Her lightning legs used to go over the opponent's head while they were trying to bait your throw. Like it was her throw bait option. So if your opponent throws, you do that. You get punish counter. Guess what? Full combo. So it's basically the same idea as Juri's jump medium punch, right? So they nerfed this, but guess what they gave her? The same thing. Now this one's a little bit harder, so it takes a bit more skill, but I'm sure Chun-Li players are going to be able to get the timing, and it's even harder to check in my opinion, because if you crouch it, you have to like guess on the timing of when they press the button to try and air to air it or not, because if they just do it immediately, you can't really air to air it. So you might want to wait for them to fall after this to get the landing frames, but I might have to lab this a bit more. Maybe there's a more consistent answer to this, but Chun-Li players are definitely going to be starting to do this more now that the air legs is more punishable, and then this is an actual thing and it does more damage. So another small buff, back heavy, back medium punch goes into back heavy punch. Not really sure how much damage that adds, but it's a little small thing. Crouch medium kick is slightly easier to whiff punish. The hurt box is a little bit farther forward, not up though, so you're still gonna have to punish it with like a sweep or a crouch medium kick. There's 20% scaling on EX Fireball, so that's mainly for EX Fireball into Drive Rush against like a Fireball, for instance. So if they can throw the Fireball and you throw an EX Fireball, there's 20% scaling on that. The main nerf actually is going to be her back walk speed, because her back walk speed was insane before. Now it's only slightly less insane. It's still faster than the average character, I think. It's basically in between where she was before and like a Ken or a Juri. And I mentioned before, level 2 is gonna build less meter on it, when previously level 2 is built a lot of meter, builds a little bit less, 70% what it was before. People said you couldn't confirm back medium punch, but I think it's still confirmable if your reactions are good. If I understand correctly, it's a 15 frame confirm instead of a 17 frame confirm. So if you're really fast, you can get it, but if you're not on point, then you're not going to be able to get it. And then Hazanchu is 7 frame projectile invincible instead of 6, so slight nerf to that against fireballs. All right, so Chun-Li, she honestly didn't change very much. I feel like the main nerf was the walk speed, but she still has faster walk speed than pretty much all the casts, so she still has an advantage in that aspect. She's still going to be doing late fireball drive rush against you, same way Guile is. I would say she is slightly worse, but not enough nerf to go down a tier. All right, next up we have Zangief, who arguably might be one of the biggest winners of the patch in my opinion. This target combo is a lot more consistent at this range it would have whiffed before. His stand medium kick has a little bit more range. I'm not sure exactly how much, but a little bit more range on that. Then I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. Forward heavy punch is +7 instead of +6 now, so it naturally combos to health stab, which is a crazy change, or a crazy buff I should say. Maybe it's not crazy that it exists, but previously he would have to do this to get actually a knockdown, right, or confirm it, which is a bit riskier, but now he can just no confirm needed, just go into that for way more damage. His forward medium kick is always safe now. Basically it could be from -4 to 0 before, and now it can be -3 to +1, so you're just gonna be guessing for your life with this. And then this next one I think is actually insane. Wheel kick went from -12 to -9, and if you space it even decently well, like what character from this range is going to be able to punish that? Zangief can't even punish it himself from that range. So Zangief players are just going to be spamming this in neutral, getting more space. Oh, you want to back up? Guess what? Got the space back. If you're full screen, maybe they do a drive rush one. -4? Guess what? It could be like -2 or 3 from over here. And burnout, it could be plus. But yeah, I think as a neutral tool, this button is just kind of crazy that it could be this safe. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I feel like this is a really good button now. Another change he got is his stomp target combo you can cancel on the second hit. Basically, the reason that this stomp target combo was not good before is, look, you do 2 hits, you go into the third. So if you hit them with this, your opponent doesn't care because you're not going to do a whole combo, because they're just gonna block after the first hit, right? But now if you see that this hit, you can go into a combo. I'm not sure exactly what you get. So you can at least jab into health stab. So it's just, you know, it actually is functional now. And a really funny buff he got, which I think is only useful against Dhalsim. The far EX running bear grab has a use, so I feel like that's pretty funny. It just kind of teleports you to Dhalsim. And he's got more combos in certain situations. Oh, this combos to regular air EX or air SPD. Hold on, you can get a combo after Lariat now. This is crazy. Ooh. So he's got some stuff. Zangief's got some stuff. Oh, crouching heavy punch, level 2. I think this is going to be mainly used for whip punishes. You get some crazy stuff now. And I didn't see anything significant for Zangief in terms of nerfs. So, man, this A+ tier is getting kind of big, so we might have to break this up after. But Zangief, you know, he's getting up there in my opinion. All right, Dhalsim kind of didn't really get anything too crazy in my opinion. Standing heavy kick is more plus, so he gets combos like this now. This one's from Mr. Crimson. You can charge the fireball slightly faster. I think a good one is you get no scaling on EX up flame, so you're gonna get more damage on anti-airs. And a cool little one, EX air fireball. Doesn't disappear before hitting the ground like the regular one does. You see this one just kind of dissipates, but this one actually goes a little bit farther, which is going to control a decent amount more space. And then level 3 used to not combo after this. I guess it still doesn't if it's too far, but in more situations you're going to be able to get Yoga Flame into level 3. And then something specific against Dhalsim was that his drive reversal is like 2 hits. Try and show you, which is very different from other characters, and it wouldn't knock down on the first hit. So if they threw a fireball and you drive reversal, or you did a heavy punch fireball, they would get hit. But now it knocks down, so that's not a thing anymore. So that's just a quality of life thing. All right, so Dhalsim feels pretty much the same to me, so I'm gonna put him where he was before, A tier. All right, Ken is a character I feel like he got less changes than Juri, and Juri I feel like was one of the ones that got the fewest changes so far. He's got crouch medium punch to run DP, crouch medium kick to run DP. So like I guess those are nice, but normally like the corner carry is where it's at, right? So that didn't get nerfed at all. He's got more damage on EX Tatsu because it wasn't used before at all. So I guess people might use it more now. You can't hit confirm back medium punch heavy punch, but people were already just doing it anyways if they had enough drive gauge, right? They would frame trap with it into EX fireball. Now they just kind of gotta commit to it and drive rush. Same thing as Chun, the EX fireball into drive rush, there's more scaling on it. And then one thing I didn't really understand is they said you can ground bounce off of the Jinrai into overhead. So I'm not sure exactly what kind of combos you can get off of this, because I wasn't able to find anything, but maybe you can get something. All right, so in my opinion, Ken exactly the same as where he was before. All right, Rashid got a few small buffs. His slide is a little bit faster into the follow-ups, or his run I should say, and they all go into supers. So I guess this is better for reacting to fireballs, although it was already pretty hard, right, to react to a fireball with this. I think it opens up more combos, so maybe that's the main thing with that. This goes into level 3. So that'll be a bit more damage. So these are like small things, unless the combos he gets are crazy that I haven't seen yet. But otherwise, these are just kind of neat, fun things to play with. But we'll need to see more of them if they're actually crazy or not. The main one, which is a nerf, is the level 2, which I feel like people are underrating this nerf. But basically, you don't build meter anymore during it. Previously, you would get 3 punish counter throws, you build a whole super bar. Now, you don't build any meter while the tornado is still active. After it disappears, and I think when the mist is still there, you're gonna build meter again. Let me actually just turn this on. So you set him to block, no meter, no meter, no meter built. Oh, no meter. Suddenly you get meter. So you might get 1 punish counter throw at the end of this and build meter, but it's going to be much less likely for you to get like 2 level 2s right away off of the first one. So honestly, overall, in my opinion, Rashid got slightly nerfed with the level 2 changes. I feel like people are saying Rashid like got got some nice stuff with the changes to the slide. But I think the level 2 thing is pretty huge. Either way though, he's still gonna be in the same tier. All right, Aki, people are saying won the patch, which I could definitely see that too. I think Ryu, Zangief, and Aki got the 3 with the most amount of buffs and the most potential from this. So first, stand light kick gets 4 frames now, so it links from crouch jab. So you can do things like this. With their poison, you get a follow-up. So she's just gonna get a lot more combos that she did before. Punish counter, she gets a crumple effect. I don't know, obviously all the follow-ups, it's a very new thing, right? So you can imagine that she's gonna get a lot of stuff. Stand medium kick is 8 frames now, so you can do like this, which you couldn't before. Crouch medium kick is +5 on hit. You're gonna be able to combo this. On drive rush, you can get more stuff. I guess this. Well, I guess you could always get this. But more importantly, on block is +1. So it's kind of like Colleen, right? Well, like Aki is kind of one of the characters I've been thinking maybe I need to play a little bit. I think her anti-airs got buffed a little bit. I'm not sure about crouch heavy kick, but I know these ones got buffed a decent amount. You can directly cancel this into level 3. So if you see them trying to DI this and punish you, guess what? It's just like Luke Heavy Knuckle. You can't do that anymore. This one is a bit weird. The light command, it just looks funny, so that's why I included it here. It's not really important, but I think this sets up a shimmy attempt. So you get a punish counter on a throw, you do that. But the biggest one is basically what Cammy lost, is a projectile invincible move through fireballs. I can throw a fireball. I'm seeing the fireball come out, and I still have time to get the punish counter. I don't even have to be sliding already, although I could and then get up if I want to. I can just do this from full screen, or I could just be nasty and react. So Aki, I feel like she got 2 main things. She got damage increases in all of her combos, while also her anti-airs got buffed, and the projectile invincible move. I think it was projectile invincible for some of it, but not the entire move, so it's just a way better to go through fireballs. I'm gonna put her with all these characters. We're gonna have to split these up. I'm gonna split this up into 2 tiers. But I'm gonna move her up here because she actually feels like a brand new character. All right, then Ed, right off the bat, I'm gonna tell you he is the least changed character of the patch. They said it's because he just came out. I'll put him right where he was. His one change that he had that's significant, this is -3 now, and you might be wondering, is that a nerf? No, it's a buff, because this crouching jab was -5 before. They could actually punish it with a throw. So that was just a bug in the first place, I feel like. So that's just kind of a fix. More importantly, he's nerfed by the system mechanic from the back throws. It's not, well, the universal change, I should say, because the back throw used to get a dash into throw. Now you're a little bit farther. So he's still pretty close. He can pressure you, but I think this is just pretty disappointing for Ed players because people were hoping for a faster anti-air, maybe a faster level 1. Lily and Kimberly both got their faster level 1s. Now he's like the only character with invincible level 1 in DP, but they're too slow for jabs. So first off, this is the sign of a really good patch. I think that there's this many characters where I'm like, man, I really don't know who could be better than the other. And that's because I felt like this was kind of the fair character tier, and then they nerfed some of the S tiers to fall down here, and they buffed some of the lower tiers to get up into this. I feel like this is the healthy tier, but since there's so many of them, I feel like we just have to split them up. So first, again, not ordered yet, we're just going to be putting people into this A++ tier. I think Blanka goes here. I feel like the main thing that got nerfed was the crouching medium punch, but everything else about him is kind of, you know, still really strong. I'm inclined to put Jay up here as well, because his tools didn't change and it's just the damage, but the damage is so low, so it's really hard to say for DJ. But I think for now we'll put him here until we really play against him more and see. Zangief, honestly, I think looks insane. The wheel kick is crazy. I feel like his buttons just were already good and now they're super good, and People said that one of Zangief's weaknesses was defense in the last season, which makes sense because he didn't have a wake up super, right, or a wake up reversal. Everyone started doing jump cancel command grab at the end, and that's really one of the most important options, is to have something that beats throw, and everyone has perfect parry that beats meaty, and jump cancel command grab just does mad damage against throw. So honestly, he does have pretty good defense, and now his neutral is just crazy. All right, if I put Juri, I have to put Cammy and Ken. Well, actually, I don't have to put Cammy because she did get the spin knuckle nerf. But I would have to put Ken as well because he also didn't change. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put Juri, Ken. Marisa didn't change, but I feel like she was on the lower end of the A+ tier anyways, and she did get a few nerfs, so I'm gonna keep her here. I think the Luke nerfs were significant enough to keep him down here. JP nerfs as well. Like, I'm really using Juri as a benchmark. Like, who do I think is under Juri? I don't think Rashid is under Juri. Aki got buffed a lot, but did she go all the way from B+ to A++? I'm not really sure, to be honest. All right, I mean, I think this is reasonable. This is like, I have like an equal number in each tier except for S and B+. And now we have all of our tiers and the characters in them. We are going to order our tier list. All right, so off the top, S tier, what's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? I got Guile at number 1 right now. Fireball driver is crazy. I know you guys. And they gave him a buff that makes it stronger. Oh, it's not looking good for the Guile, but there is hope because Aki has a projectile invincible move, so maybe she could move up and be the counter to these projectile monsters. I think for Blanka, you just gotta kind of think a little bit more. Like, you can't spam the crouch medium punch, you can't spam the EX air ball into +6. You just kind of gotta think about it a bit more, I feel like. So I feel like having him first makes sense. Dee Jay, I feel like his damage got nerfed a lot, so I want to put him at the bottom of this. Zangief as well, I want to put him towards the lower side because he's still gonna have some matchups that I feel like he's gonna struggle with, to be honest. Like, one of his worst matchups got nerfed with JP, and actually, you know what, thinking about it a little bit more, I feel like Zangief, I want to put in A+ actually, not because I don't think the tools he got are strong, but just because he's still gonna have a bunch of bad matchups like Ed, Lily, and Guile and Chun are at the top, and I can't imagine those are too good for Zangief, even though Beggy says that Zangief beats Guile. Hold on. All right, ignore what I said. Okay, so Zangief, I think I also want to put in the lower side here just because he's going to have some bad matchups. Like, I know Ed, Lily are still going to be hard for him. Zangief beats Guile, but I don't know if I agree with that. He might still have trouble with the projectiles. And then between these three, they didn't really change, to be honest. So, well, we'll just have them in the same order as before, I guess. Dang, so that means Juri's top 4. Can't really downplay as much anymore. Then for A+, I think we have Cammy at the top. I feel like she's still really good. It's just against certain characters, it's the projectile invincibility is a big thing. I want to put Aki towards the top 2 because I feel like those buffs honestly look really promising. Like, her neutral seems a lot better with that punish counter whip, her damage, her anti-airs, just so much things, the projectile invincibility. All right, Ryu, I think we're gonna put at the bottom here. There's a lot of things that improve, right, with the fireballs, with the engine charge, with the damage, but I feel like overall it's not anything too crazy. I think probably the fireballs and Dendon charge is the biggest one. Forward heavy kick is also a good neutral button, but I think I'm gonna put him here. Not quite up to, come on, Luke and JP of the previous season, just a little bit nerfed. Then I'm gonna put Marisa right next to him because I feel like she's about the same pretty much, and you know, she didn't get anything too crazy either. She just feels like a solid character. Then between Luke and JP, I mean, they're pretty much about the same. I'll just keep it like it is right now, but they were both really good. Now their obnoxious stuff is removed. They've kind of gotten normalized a bit. So I feel like this is a good spot for them. Then within this tier, I'm really optimistic about Lily. Ed, I already thought was pretty good, but these characters all have defensive options. I guess not these two, so I feel like I'm gonna put these three. Jamie, I'm a little bit less optimistic about. I feel like he didn't really change that much. I'm gonna put Kimberly above him. I think Honda, he can stay here, but Ed I think is pretty, Ed is a good character, but it's just the fact that these two got wake up, so I'll put him here actually. All right, just remember the fact, like, don't worry about the tier list, okay? The main thing is to see whether the characters improved going over their buffs and their nerfs. Akuma, let's talk about Akuma a little bit. I think he's a strong character, right? But I don't see anything too crazy with him yet. He's got good corner carry. He's got a great fireball. Low life. Is it enough to justify the low life? Enough to put him in A++. At least we'll put him at the end of this. I've been wrong about Akuma at release in the past. In Street Fighter 5, I thought he was not good when he released, and then Tokido won evil with him. So I could be completely wrong about Akuma. I could be completely wrong about this whole list. Obviously, this is all speculation, especially like within here and like all the ordering and stuff. But I think the fact that this was so hard to make this tier list, it just shows that it was a really good patch. Like, they buffed the lower tiers and nerfed the super broken characters, at least everyone but Guile for some reason. All right, let me know in the comments what you thought. Some of you guys are going to be angry about the tier list, I know. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought. Maybe you guys are going to be more right about this than me. It's very hard to make this tier list thinking about all the characters, but mostly I just really wanted to understand what are the biggest changes for each character, and hopefully I was able to relay that over to you guys as well. So hopefully that got through. Let me know in the comments if you liked it. Leave a like down below, leave a subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot, and a lot of you guys that watch the videos aren't subscribed, so hit that red subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.